Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, so as promised, this will be the recorded video lecture for chapter 3 part 2. So part 1 we've already covered in the week before the mid-sem break. Okay, so this one is supposed to be the for week 7, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so anyway, so this is a continuation of a chapter 3 academic writing on the do's and don'ts, especially when you want to write academically, where it involves giving out the facts and also information. Okay, let's see. Okay, so in this part, we're going to concentrate on the academic resources, on where you can get the resources for the information that you need when you want to write academically. And also, we're going to have a look briefly on the title, on the topic of plagiarism. Okay, so first of all, the resources that we can get, okay, the closest resources that we can get is from our own library. So our library is called the Perpustakaan Tunku Tun Aminah. Okay, so usually you will hear the PTTA. Okay, so that stands for the Perpustakaan Tunku Tun Aminah. And rajin-rajinlah go to their website, and then you will see a lot of things in there. Okay, so you can search the library catalog, or you can use all of these buttons. Okay, so I think you guys are very okay with the technology, okay, with the websites you can toggle around. So go to the website of the PTTA, Perpustakaan, UTSM Perpustakaan, and you will see a lot of things in there. Okay, so make sure to click all of this to see apa maksud semua-semua ni. Okay, so you can see here UTSM thesis. Okay, so this one is where we deposit all the thesis from the students. I think it involves the thesis for the postgraduate students, the one for the masters and also PhD, and also the PSM, Project Sarjana Muda. Okay, next to it, exam paper. Okay, so I think most students will go to the library website, PTTA website, and they're only interested in this button only, the exam paper. So in this database, this is where we publish all the previous exam papers, and if you can download each one of them, and you can try on your own to answer all the exam papers. And this is the final exam paper, so this will give you an insight, this will give you an information on how the final exam questions will be for each of the subjects. Okay, so this is the journals, okay, subscribed by the UTSM. This is only the screenshot. So for example here, Journal of Thermophysics. Okay, so the one listed here is not exactly related to our degree, which is biodiversity and conservation. But if you can go there, okay, to the e-journal or e-books or database, then you will find some of the journals that are related to the biodiversity and conservation. Then you can click on it, and then you will see the articles that have been published under that journal. Then you can read it. Okay, so when you read it, because it's in our bidang, okay, in our area, then you can actually understand, and it will give you more understanding, more knowledge on the topic, on the certain topic. But remember, the topics in the published articles, they are very specific. Okay, so maybe while you are still in your first year, your first semester, then maybe some of the specifics, some of the topics in the published articles to maybe very overwhelming for you. But don't worry, just get used to it. Just baca sahaja to get used to it, to be familiarized with it. Okay. Alright. So again, so this is on how to use the ProQuest. Okay. So some some journals, they don't allow people who are not subscribed with that journal to access the journal. Okay, of course there are things on there are shortcuts on how to access that journal. Okay, even though we are not subscribed to that journal, but that's the bad thing lah. Okay, so itu cara jalan belakang lah. Tapi for jalan depan ni, we can use the ProQuest, and then we use the institution local login semua tu. Okay, so go to PTTA, go to UTHM library, and then toggle around the website. Okay, cuba try dulu. Okay, so when you want to write the academic writing, we need the resources. We need the sources, because we can't really just write something like that, kan? Kita mesti kena ada sesuatu to be based on. Okay, so just now we have given you the platforms, the database, the resources that you can get, which is the closest to you, by using the PTTA resources. Okay, our own UTHM library. Now when you want to start writing your academic writing, there are few things that you have to consider. There are few things that you have to do or to outline. Okay, so first of all is the research and outlining. Okay, so we need to know what topic we want to write about, who the target audience is. Okay, how to outline your academic writing so that the flow is very nice, the flow is very smooth, and it's readable to the audience or to the readers. Okay, so most of the time, even the credible writers pun sometimes we find it difficult on how to get the ideas. Okay, so usually we will Google. Okay, kita nak Google sahajalah, tetapi we don't know how to Google. Kan? So it's usually we don't know what terms to put into the Google for the academic research, because you know the Google searches kan, dia punya apa yang result dia tu, it depends on the keywords that we type in into the Google search, ataupun it depends on the terms that we put in to the Google search tu. Jadi if we don't know what exactly we're trying to write for the academic writing, then takkan ada ke mana-mana lah. Google pun won't be able to help us. Okay, so this will be a very good resources on how to do your research. Okay, so you can click on that, and you boleh baca-baca, and it will give you an idea on how to do the research, how to plan your assignment, how to do your objectives, your statements, your conclusion. Okay, so this is the bigger part of your academic writing. So remember, academic writing, they have the bigger picture, and that it will be more specific to each topic that you want to address on. So first of all, people will see the bigger picture first. Okay, jadi when we want to write the academic writing tu, when to do the academic writing tu, make sure the bigger picture tu is macam dia is addressed on. Maknanya bigger picture tu orang boleh nampak dengan clear. Tak adalah macam tengok secara luaran pun people are already confused, let alone bila baca dekat dalam content tu nanti. Okay, alright, then is the argumentation. Okay, in academic writing, because it involves theories, it involves facts, it involves information, then we have to provide an argument. Kita tak nak just report them. Okay, we don't want that. We don't want to report, okay, A is higher than B, B is lower than A, C is bigger, C is higher, things like that. So that is just reporting them. What we need is to provide an argument and evidence and how to establish a position on the topic. Okay, so A, you can report them. A is higher than B, B is lower than A, C is the highest of all. Okay, but then you have to provide the justification. You have to argue whether you agree with the results. If you agree, why? Are there any supporting evidences? Or you don't agree with the results, and why? You have to give the justification, and you have to support your disagreement. Okay, so this is what we call the argumentation, so that when you read that piece of academic writing, then it gives a balance of the agreement to the disagreement of one big statement, and all the justifications, all the evidences are all lined up in that piece of academic writing. Okay, so we have to be very careful. We have to ensure that our argumentation is not biased. Okay, ini pun memang susah. Kadang-kadang pun when we want to write pun kan, the credible writers pun they find it very difficult. Okay, so don't worry, jangan nak kata oh susah lah. Memang it's very difficult. Okay, no one contests that. Okay, memang it's very difficult. Tetapi it's just a matter of getting yourself familiarized with the format. So when we want to provide the arguments, jangan bias. Walaupun kita sebenarnya agree with that statement kan, but for the sake of academic writing, we have to provide the disagreement as well. Jadi macam kita kan cerita pasal the agreement, the justification, the evidences, 5 page. But then yang disagreement, kita buat 1 page saja. So nampak bias. 5 page to 1 page. Jadi bila orang baca tu, orang akan nampak kata macam this writer ni memang really agree, and this writer fails to show us the other side, okay, of the statement tu. So it's not a really well balanced argument in that academic writing. Okay, so again, these resources will help you on how to master the skill of giving us an unbiased argumentation and a well balanced of both sides of argumentation, whether you agree or disagree. Okay, next one is the introductions and conclusions. Okay, jadi in a piece of academic writing, the first one we will read the introduction, and the last one we will see the conclusion. So in between tu barulah you punya arguments, you punya content. Okay, so the first thing that will open and the last thing that will close your academic writing is these two components: introductions and conclusions. Okay, so in introduction and conclusions, they serve a purpose on why it has to be mentioned first and why it has to be mentioned at the very last. Okay, so introduction, it include a hook, a topic and a thesis statement. So waktu intro kan, nama pun intro, macam kita nak intro diri kita kepada kawan-kawan kita. Tak adalah nak cakap terus benda yang macam very specific kan. Kita akan cakap benda-benda yang very general first. We want to make a statement. Okay, so it's the same with when you are doing or when you are going for an interview. Okay, so first of all, the panel of interviewer will ask you, okay, introduce yourself. Okay, tak adalah nak cakap, saya mendapat pointer sebanyak 3.85 untuk semua semester. Tak ada. That's the content already. So when the panel of interviewer asks you for your introduction of yourself, then you will start with your name. My name is blah blah blah. I am from blah blah blah. My family consists of how many sisters, how many brothers. My parents, they live in here. My father is a what? My mother is a teacher, for example. Okay, so that's the general thing, the blanket of that whole introduction. The blanket of all writing. Okay, so that's why you need to have a statement, but then that statement has to lead you to something to something specific, leading you to your content, because after introduction is your content. Once you have given out your arguments for your content, then it is time for your conclusion. Okay, so what does conclusion must have? Okay, so conclusion must have a more complicated structure summarizing the whole essay. Okay, so remember introduction, you give a blanket, you give macam a very general statement, but then it must lead to your content. So dekat content tu you dah cerita, dah pumpang on the arguments, whether you agree or whether you disagree, what are the justifications, what are the supporting evidences. Okay, then very last, because the conclusion is also known as the take home messages. Okay, so there are some readers who only read the introduction and also the conclusion part. Why? Because the introduction, it gives you the general idea on what the academic writing or on what the paper is all about or your writing is all about. Then the conclusion, because it summarize the whole essay. Jadi the reader tu macam dia tak perlulah nak baca all your arguments tu, because you need to conclude. You need to summarize all of the arguments in this part, conclusion. Okay, so usually readers untuk browse through, because a lot of writings dekat sana tu kan, jadi takkanlah dia nak baca satu-satu kan. So what they do is they read the introductions and they read the conclusions. If the writers write the introduction and the conclusions very well, very attractive kan, jadi nanti yang reader tu dia akan jadi this writing is very good, so kita akan okay, we want to read the content. Tapi kalau baca introduction dia pun macam very vague, macam tak tahu where this is leading, and then bila baca conclusion pun macam it doesn't summarize, it doesn't give us okay, what do you want to tell us actually kan. Macam jadi macam kita okay, pass this writing. So macam sedih lah, kita penat-penat tulis kan, tapi tak ada orang nak baca. Okay, so it's the same with you when you're writing an assignment, okay, buat lab report ke apa ke kan. So your reader right now is your lecturer, and your lecturer is giving you marks for that writing kan, lab report ke assignment ke apa. So betul-betul you kena ambil hati lecturer you tu. Okay, introduction tu kena tip top, conclusion kena bagus. Then dia lecturer tu pun dia dah rasa macam senang hati, pandai student aku tulis introduction, conclusion, tak sia-sia aku ajar dia masa dia tu first year ambil FYS, first year seminar. Jadi dia dah macam rasa dah lega hati, gembira semua. Jadi dia pun markah pun senang nak bagi. Okay, berbanding sekiranya macam tengok-tengok je formatting tak betul, introduction is very haywire, very messy, conclusion is out of the world kan. Jadi macam it gives us an assumption, okay, a perception that this student maybe dia buat last minute kan. So if that is perceived kan, yang you ni a last minute macam punya student, then dia akan jadi macam something lah kat situ. Okay, so the lecturer or the reader is not happy. Okay, so remember these are the resources that you can go and you can read in order to help you in how to write the best ataupun better introductions and conclusions. Okay, then the next one is proofreading and editing. Okay, so when you are at this step, meaning that you are done with writing the academic writing, with the academic assignment ke whatever tu so dah siap tulis semua tu, don't forget to do the proofreading and editing. Some people, dia memang Sambil dia tulis, dia akan proofread. Sambil dia tulis, dia akan edit dia punya format and everything. But some people, dia akan, because idea tengah mencurah-curah tu kan, the flow of the ideas tu, then they will write, just write je regardless of the format. Tak kisahlah, tulis je, because formatting we can always go back and refer. But when you have a flow of ideas and then you are busy doing all the proofreading and editing with the formatting semua tu, and then suddenly poof, dia punya ideas tu macam all gone, mana nak cari balik idea tu? Kan memang akan jadi stres gila lah. Sebab time idea datang tak mau nak tulis. Time kita nak tulis, time itulah idea yang tak ada. Itu bahaya. Okay. So some people, most of the people lah yang I know lah kan, dia memang proofreading, editing, formatting ni tinggal last sekali. But do not underestimate the length of time needed for the proofreading, editing ataupun formatting, because believe me, they will take most of your time as well. Okay, from my experience as a lecturer, usually students, they will do that. They will write dulu, okay, all the content, blah 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 blah. Okay, tomorrow is the deadline kan, so tomorrow students have to submit to the lecturer. So diorang buat ni memang sampai ke petang, sampai ke malam. Okay, so they think that proofreading and the formatting is very simple, and then they reserve that that frame, time frame tu hanya sedikit sahaja to do the formatting. And believe me, usually mereka takkan berjaya menjadikan writing mereka tu all cantik, okay, in terms of the proofreading and also the formatting. Okay, so especially when you will be writing your proposal thesis and also your thesis at the final year of your degree nanti. Okay, sebab time tu hundreds of pages that you have to proofread, that you have to edit, that you have to format. Okay, time tu lah bateri rosak, keyboard rosak, laptop kena format. Itu memang sangat pening kepala. So since you are still in your semester 1 for first year, during your first year ni, you kena biasakan diri with the formatting. Biasakan diri by giving you a lot of times for the formatting as well. Do not underestimate the formatting punya time tu. Okay, so again, these are the resources that you can have a look, that you can read to help you on how to improve your writing during in terms of the proofreading, editing and formatting. Okay, now, so that's the academic resources. Okay, so we have given you the resources that you need when you want to do your academic writing. Okay, now we're gonna briefly look into plagiarism. Okay, so I think some of you maybe pernah dengar perkataan plagiarism. Some of you tahu the meaning of the plagiarism. Some of you maybe macam very vaguely understand kan plagiarism ni, what it is all about. Some of you macam, mungkin kita macam agak keliru. Is this plagiarism or is this not plagiarism kan? It is on the fence of plagiarism and not plagiarism. Okay, so in this video, we will have a look briefly only on the plagiarism, and then in the next class, okay, we will have a look at the plagiarism punya the next part of the plagiarism. Okay, so this is a kata-kata pujangga for you. Trust is like a paper. Once it's crumpled, it can't be perfect again. Okay, so ni perkataan ni, trust. Okay, so the word plagiarism ni kan, the area plagiarism ni sebenarnya it has something to do with trust, honesty, kepercayaan. Okay, so we trust you with that piece of information. If you want to use the information, do rightly. Give us credit, do the citation or the reference. But if you want to be a bad guy and you want to use the information without giving us credits, then it will be like this. Okay, apabila hati kita ni dah diremuk kan, hati kita ni dah remuk sangat, hati dah heartbroken sangat, you nak iron macam mana, nak elokkan balik hati tu macam mana pun, dia masih ada lagi a tiny spot in our heart yang kita akan macam tak percaya ke orang tu, because orang tu dah pernah buat tahi dekat kita. Okay, I'm sorry for the language, okay. Tapi orang tu dah pernah buat jahat dengan kita. Macam tu lah, okay. Okay, so plagiarism kita tengok sini. The act or instance of using or closely imitating the language and thoughts of others or even yourself from older works and presenting the work as one's own new original work without crediting the original author or work. Okay, so plagiarism ni adalah sebenarnya apabila when we use a piece of information from other people, tetapi kita tak bagi kredit pun ke orang tu. Kita tulis dan kita tak bagi kredit, seolah-olah that idea, that information come from us. So that is plagiarism. So whatever thing that you quote from other people, so whatever thing that you take from other people or from other work, we need to give credit to that people, because dia yang buat kerja, dia yang bagi information tu, kita just ambil saja. Jadi macam it's unfair kan. That's why plagiarism is all about trust. They trust us with the information, and then it is up to us. If we want to use that, give credit. If we don't want to use that, leave it be. Okay, so if we use that information without bagi credit, then that is plagiarism. Okay, plagiarisms can have serious consequences. Be original and don't plagiarize. Memang, okay, plagiarism ni sekarang ni lecturer ni, because especially for online kan sekarang ni, so we can't really macam see whether students are actually answering the questions, test ke, quiz ke, finals ke, based on whatever you have in your mind at that time kan, whatever you memorize from our lecture notes or from your knowledge. Because bila you kat rumah ni kita tak nampak, then you can just Google, then you can copy and paste. Okay, so what lecturers do right now adalah when you submit your assignment, your lab report, test, quiz, final exam, what we do is we will upload it to a platform. It's called Turnitin. Okay, so Turnitin ni adalah a platform where we upload all your work, and then this Turnitin, it will compare your work word by word with other people's word. Okay, so kalau dia nampak ada persamaan banyak sangat, maknanya memang you duk plagiarism lah. So kita boleh tahu that your paragraph tu bukan datang daripada ayat you sendiri. You copy and paste je. Copy and paste. Control V kan. You copy paste je daripada online. Sebab ni sekarang ni semua take home, online exam semua kan. Kalau kita buat face to face, then kita tahulah you can't really copy and paste kan. So itu memang idea original daripada you lah. Okay, so ada banyak. Jadi markah akan ditolak, mungkin terus ataupun dia dapat kosong. Okay, contohnya macam Hungary president ni, from country Hungary ni, presiden dia ataupun kalau macam kita kat Malaysia ni is equivalent to our prime minister lah. Okay, PM kita, dia quits in plagiarism scandal. So it relates to the previous slide yang mana kita kata plagiarism ni it has serious consequences. Apa plagiarism President Schmidt ni, dia adalah mana dia kata, is my duty resign, salah, ni stripped off his doctorate over plagiarism. Okay, so dia ni buat PhD. Bila PhD, at the end of the PhD we have to write a thesis kan. So that thesis apparently plagiarized. So ketika dia awarded for the PhD, maybe the university tak dapat detect lagi. Okay, because maybe it was what time kan ni? 1992. So 1992 he was awarded a PhD with the title doctor kan. So maybe Dr. Schmidt ni kat sini. But at that time 1992 maybe turning in plagiarism tak berapa meluas lagi. Okay, not really established, not vastly used by the institutions or the universities. But then later on, bila turning in all the similarities, all the plagiarism ni dah makin people are aware of that, then somehow yalah, because dia orang terkenal kan, jadi a lot of people cuba cari salah dia lah untuk menjatuhkan dia. Okay, so apparently it succeeded in finding his thesis, and then tengok thesis dia ni rupanya dia plagiarize saja. Okay, so dia mungkin dia tulis, dia control paste je, copy and paste saja. Jadi universiti tu mengambil keputusan untuk menarik balik PhD dia, menarik balik title doktor ni. Okay, the thing is that happened during when he was a prime minister. Okay, biasalah bila kita dekat atas kan, akan adalah orang-orang yang nak menjatuhkan kita. Okay, so ayat dia ni, because dia ni ada moral conscience. Okay, dia ada ethics dia. Jadi dia kata, my personal issue divides my beloved nation rather than unites it. Okay, jadi daripada situ dia kata macam dia punya personal issue of plagiarism thesis dia tu menyebabkan the country more separated. Okay, dia divide the country rather than unite the country. Then dia kata, I better step down. Okay, so that's a very brave very brave action done by the Hungary president, which is Mr. Schmidt. Okay, so this is one of the consequences of plagiarism. Okay, dan ini pun adalah political issue jugalah kan, because he was in the politics kan. But then for us yang rakyat-rakyat biasa ni yang tak ada kena-mengena dengan politik pun, again, plagiarism ni masih ada serious consequences. Okay, so what is a source? Jadi kita nak kena tahulah source tu apa. So source tu sebenarnya any person or content from which you get information that you use in your content. So source ni, it can come from any of this. Daripada buku, daripada online material, newspaper, magazine, or even personal communication. You bercakap-cakap dengan you punya kawan-kawan you tu, and then you dapat idea daripada cakap-cakap tu, and then you tulis dekat dalam writing you. Okay, so itu adalah source. Alright, so now nanti you will encounter two different terms, okay, on the citation and the references. Although some of them, these two terms, they are interchangeably. Maksudnya ada orang dia maksudkan citation tapi dia sebut reference. Ada orang dia maksudkan reference, dia tulis citation. Okay, so sebenarnya there are differences for citation and untuk reference. Okay, so citation kat sini, reference kat sini. So basically citation ni is macam ni. Macam ni. Ni yang satu kecil atas, dua kecil atas, tiga kecil, empat kecil, lima kecil. And dia sebenarnya in our writing, in our content, bila kita tulis sahaja, contohnya it was a mistake. Okay, so it was a mistake ni, the original idea coming from orang number one ni. So orang number one ni apa? Kita letak kat footnote. Orang number one ni yang ni, orang number two yang ni, orang number three yang ni, orang number 4 and orang number 5. So this is citation. So whenever we write that information that we take from other people, then we have to cite that people, cite that work. So that is citation. Meanwhile, for references, it gives the details about the source. So references are typically listed at the end of the writing. So references kita akan jumpa at the end of our writing, at the end of our assignments, of our lab reports, of our thesis, where we have one full section named references. Then dekat situ you tulis segala macam, all the name of the authors, what year, the title of that writing, and then if it is published in the books or magazines or any journals, what page number, is there any ISBN or ISSN code, and things like that. So the details of that writing, the details of that information that we take on, that we take from. Okay, so remember, citation is when we write and we cite, but references at the end of our writing too, and give out all the details about that reference. Okay, so good citation adalah apabila we give credit, we write the name of the author usually dalam citation. Contohnya A is better than B. So kita ambil info ni daripada someone else. So someone else tu kita nak kena bagi citation. It's Furzani. We write the name of the author and what year. So it's 2020. So this is a citation. This is a good citation. So we know that A is better than B is not coming from you, but it's coming from Furzani from the year of 2020. Okay. But we have to also know that not everything that we say, that we mention in our writing, it has to be given the citation. Okay. So and this is where we see we talk about the common knowledge. Okay, so common knowledge is a well-known fact or information that appears in several known sources, making familiar to large number of people or to professionals in a given field. So maksudnya macam benda-benda yang common knowledge, benda yang general statement. Riyadh is the capital city of KSA. Kuala Lumpur is the capital city of Malaysia. Cell nucleus contains DNA. Water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. Okay. So contohnya these are the common knowledge or common statement. So usually kalau kita tulis macam ni, we don't need the citation. We don't need the references for it because it's a very common thing. Tak perlu. Okay. Common knowledge statements are the only time you do not have to cite information. Okay. But then sometimes macam very difficult kan. Is this common knowledge or is it not common knowledge? Then kalau you are in doubt, if in doubt, cite it. Kalau dah macam tak tahu sangat dah kan, alah bagi je lah citation. Tak salah pun. Okay. But then if you are very sure that this is the common knowledge, then you don't have to cite. Okay. But then if you don't know, if you are unsure, you are on the fence whether this is a common knowledge or this is not a common knowledge, then you can cite it. Tak salah. Okay. Why citing sources is important? Remember, honesty tadi tu. Trust. So, we want to be an ethical writer. Okay. Kita nak hidup kat dunia ni lama dengan cara orang tak marah dekat kita. So, let's put ourselves in their shoes. If someone takes our information, if someone use our fact, kan, ambil barang kita pun kita dah marah. Apatah lagi our intellectual property. Kita mesti marah kalau orang tu tak bagi kredit kepada kita kan. Macam peribahasa tu, lembu punya susu, sapi dapat nama. Macam tu. So lembu tu dia yang menghasilkan all the work. Okay, the lembu does all the work, producing the milk, milking and everything. And then sapi tu dia ambil, lepas tu dia pula yang dapat nama. Okay, kononnya benda tu daripada sapi, tapi sebenarnya is from the lembu. Okay. Why do humans plagiarize? Okay, because we don't know why it is important to cite sources. So this is an honest mistake lah. So orang tu mungkin dia tak tahu kan pasal plagiarism. But now you don't have that excuse anymore because kita dah ajar dah plagiarism tu apa. Okay. We lack confidence in our own ideas and language. Sometimes betul. Because right now academic writing ni kan banyaknya English based. English is not our mother language. It's not our first language. It's not our mother tongue. It's not our first language. Okay. So some of us might have difficulties in writing English. Jadi shortcut is copy and paste daripada orang lain yang English dia sedap. Okay. So this is plagiarism. Actions that might be seen as plagiarism. So if you look down here, arrows kan. Jadi kita bahagikan kat tengah-tengah. Jadi arrow ataupun actions that are on the left side is deliberate plagiarism. Maksudnya sengaja kita nak plagiarize. Kalau arrows towards the right side is the possibly accidental plagiarism. Maksudnya kita tak sengajalah terplagiarize macam tu. Okay, kita tengok on the left side dulu. Actions dia adalah buying, stealing or borrowing a paper. Itu memang confirm lah. Dah buying, stealing. Jadi ni macam dia memang mengambil terus. Okay. Tapi dia tak bagi kredit lah. Kalau semua ni dia bagi kredit, then dia akan okay. Dia tak jadi plagiarism. Okay. Hiring someone to write your paper. Ini banyak sangat yang berlaku. Okay. Sama ada terkantoi ataupun tidak terkantoi saja. Okay. Let's look at on the right side. Using the source too closely when paraphrased. Okay, nanti on the next part of this lecture kan, we will teach you. We will learn on how to paraphrase. Okay. Although we are allowed to take the information from other people or other work with credit, we can't really take word by word. We have still to paraphrase them. How to do the paraphrasing, nanti kita akan belajar on the next part of this lecture. So, using the source too closely when paraphrase. So, when we paraphrase, maknanya kita tukar-tukar sikit, maksud tak tukar. Kita tukar-tukar the sentence structure, we tukar some of the words, but then the meaning is still there. Okay? Jadi, bila dia kata kita menggunakan, bila kita paraphrase, but then it's still too close to the original words, then itu masih lagi plagiarism. Okay. Building on someone's idea without citation. Okay. Jadi sebenarnya kita tak take the original idea tu dan kita tak copy paste macam tu je. But then we paraphrase, we use that as a base of our idea tu, but then we forget to do the citation. So that's why it says the accidental plagiarism. Now kita tengok yang bawah ni dia across these two. Copying from another source without citing on purpose or by accident. Betul lah. So you copy from another source, lepas tu dah lah tak cite. So tak cite tu, without citing ni, boleh jadi you sengaja tak cite. So bila you sengaja tak cite, then dia jadi deliberate plagiarism. Ataupun you terlupa nak cite, then dia akan jadi accidental plagiarism. Okay? Alright. So, when you read other people's work, other people's punya information, take that as an inspiration. Okay? Jangan simply plagiarize. We have to respect their work. Okay? Because they put a lot of effort, they put a lot of time in building that information, in building that facts and theory. Then we can't really just simply take them without give them credits. Okay, that's very rude lah, sangat jahat. Okay, so use that as an inspiration instead of doing the plagiarism. Okay, so that's all for part 2 of chapter 3, and then we will continue with the last part of chapter 3, which is the part 3. Okay, thank you very much.